Good afternoon, viewers. This is Dena Mitchell. I'm here with Miss Charlotte Fazant Brown, I'm sorry. And we are here
That's right.
today on Get Your Geechie On. I'm the TV producer, Dena Mitchell, and I am on today with Charlotte Fazant Brown. She is in Beaufort, and I'm in the Charleston area. And we're excited to bring to you today that the upcoming Gullah Festival, the original Gullah Festival that will be held Beaufort in May, and she'll be providing those dates with you as well. Miss Charlotte, thank you for coming on today. Would you please introduce yourself to our viewers here?
Sure. Thank you for having me on. My name is Charlotte Fazant Brown. I am an original Beaufortonian. Uh, I am a retired educator. I did 21 years in the school system as an English teacher and the last 11 as a high school assistant principal. I'm also the one of the co-founders of the original Gullah Festival and a past president of the original Gullah Festival. Uh, do you want more information?
Awesome, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, well, I know that y'all were not able to have the festival for at least the last 2 years due to COVID, and so this will be my very first time attending, and I'm very excited about that. I can't wait until May gets here, and of course, at the time that the original Gullah Festival will be going on, that
Mm.
actually will be around the time of my birthday, so that is very exciting, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that. But I wanted to have you elaborate on lest we forget. I understand that's something that you do during the Gala Festival. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about that?
Sure, sure. First of all, we are so excited that you will be able to come and join us. You will enjoy your weekend. We are quite sure of that. The lest we forget is the educational component that we do. One of the educational components that we do for the Gullah Festival. When we initially started the plans for the festival, one of our missions was to educate. We wanted to make sure that we always had education as an important part of what we were doing. We didn't want it to just be a weekend of party hard, fun stuff. We wanted to make sure that people walked away with knowledge. They learned something from their weekend. And so we have definitely had several different options of things that we do. Sometimes we'll try to do educational forums at the schools. We have our artists in residence. We have something called the Sankofa Circle, where people can browse through different areas on the festival grounds and talk with different people, like the Tuskegee Airmen or some quilters or other people like that. And then we have the Lest We Forget. That's a forum that's done in a building. And well, this year coming up, we've been looking at it because of COVID. We're definitely going to have to back up and punt about how we do things in order to keep in compliance with all of the COVID restrictions. So our format may be a little different. But in the past, with the Lest We Forget, the two things that we've basically done were we did the guest speakers who came in, with the presenters who would come in and talk, and then we also had panel discussions that were also very interesting. People could become very active participants in both, with question and answers, that type thing, and learn more. We, with our presenters, have invited people to come in and talk about Gullah tales, because there are all kinds of stories that come out of, stories about the graves and the 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 storms that come through the area, and the people who've lived here for years. We also had we talk about reconstruction in the Beaufort area and the Low Country. That's very important, because the Beaufort area played a big role. That's where Robert Smalls came and did the planter. Robert Smalls, the captain of the planter, he took his family and they left and went from Beaufort up to the Charleston area. But we have a lot of history there. We also had Harriet Tubman in
Yes.
the area. We had all of the things that you might want to find with Reconstruction in the area. You had all the Jim Crow stuff going on. And so there are a lot of things that we talk about, the black codes and segregation, and um, even Gandy dancers and things like that that came and impacted the Beaufort areas. We also do things like the evolution of churches and the music of the churches, in the black churches. We've gone from dirges and the
Yes.
hand clapping songs and the shouting to now we have contemporary gospel. And it all ties in because there, even in today's world, there are a lot of meanings and messages that come behind what people sing and why people sing what they do
Yes.
sing in black churches.
Yes.
We also have ancestral roots, a part that has been very important for us. And one of the persons who has worked very well with us is a young lady named Kimberly Morgan. And because of all of the research that she has been doing, she has become very popular. I don't know if we'll be able to get her anymore. She's now working with Finding Your Roots and doing a fantastic job with Mr. Gates.
So let me ask you in regards to that. So finding your roots, is that more like something similar like ancestry.com, or is that something a little different?
That is something like it. It started out with her finding some of our ancestors, and she has brought a lot of information about our family ancestors. And in turn, she started telling other people during the time of the festival some of the things that they can do, the procedures that they can use to find more about their ancestry. And it has been very helpful to us because a lot of people come to the festival looking for information on how they can find out more about their families that they believe lived in the Low Country or had some connections to the Low Country or to Gullah. And so the finding their
Yes.
roots, the ancestry of it all became a very important part. And also, believe it or not, this was a very heavily Native American area. And so we have a Native American connection as well. And there's that connection from Barbados and the West Indies. And we have to show how that connection is, because all of that is very important when it comes to remembering where our roots lie, where we come from, what our language is, why we got the Gullah accent, and what some of the connections still are today. So all of that is important, and so that's why we still stick to the lest we forget. We also, in panel discussions, we try to make sure that I have people who come in and talk about the current issues of today that still tie into the Low Country. For instance, what happened with George Floyd, and what happened with Ahmaud Arbery. Those would be topics that we would talk about because we would be looking at how that ties to experiences that people in the low country have had, which may be similar to that, and how they were handled and what results were. And so we will have lawyers and law enforcement people from the city police to the sheriff's department to some of the local lawyers, black lawyers come in and talk about how those particular things were handled in the past, how they're being handled now, what the connection is, how they relate to people in the low country now. So, and that also is important. And we do things like arts and crafts where we will have people come in, like Jonathan Green will come in and talk about his artwork and how the history of the area influenced the type of paintings that he does. And we have quilters who come in and show us how the quiltings were very important, especially to the storyline of the slaves and the messages that they sent, and how that talent is now passed on to their children and their grandchildren, in addition to things like basket weavers and fish netters and boat
Yes.
builders,
Yes.
So all of those are important things that we do. We have black farmers in the area that you very seldom hear much about. Plumbers, builders, all of these people who help to make Beaufort and the Low Country the way it is, who helped to build those big, fabulous mansions down here, who helped to design different buildings, but nobody will ever know what they've done until we actually begin to bring it out. So,
Yes.
the one of the things we did when we first started with this whole thing about the Gullah Festival was, okay, we want to make sure that people know that black people did more than wear the slave outfits and everything. We were an important, integral part of the development of the South, the Low Country, and
Yes.
in the whole United States, the whole world. We have done some things that are very brilliant, and people need to know what we've done. And the only way that that story is going to be done is if we tell it. So we
Exactly. Exactly.
if we don't tell our story the right way, somebody else is going to tell it for us, and we might not like what we hear. So
Yes.
we
Yes.
that's
So let
why
me
we
ask you this
do.
with the
No,
let
go
me
ahead.
ask you this with the lest we forget, is
Hmm.
this like um broken up into parts each and every day, or is it there's just one day they have just that segment?
Well, each year, each day was different, each hour was different, with different things that we presented and different people that could be presented to the public to talk about different facets of things that we need to remember that exist. But now with COVID, we have to come up with a different way to do that. Not set in stone yet how that is going to be done, because that is going to be a challenge, because we have so many things that we want to make sure that are never forgotten, from the language to the contributions, uh, and the things that are happening now. But we just have to think of how we're going to do that. But every day we had different topics, we had different presenters in, and I listed them by hours so that you could look at the schedule and see what you wanted to come and hear. It wouldn't be
Oh
like
wow.
you just happened to walk in and this is what you came across. um,
Yes.
we if we were talking about uh, the low country uh, church preachers and the types of stories that the old country preachers in the small from the praise houses up to the big mega churches now, then there would be someone talking about that from maybe 10 to 11. From 11 to 12, we
Wow.
might be talking about quilting and what that does. From 12 to 1, we might be talking about musicians who've come from this area and have gone
Oh, wow.
throughout and have played with kings and have represented Beaufort, our little town, and yet they're well known all over. A lot of people don't know that Joe Frazier was born in Beaufort. The
I
boxer.
had no idea. I
Yeah,
did not
Heavy
know
Big
that.
Heavy. Right. He claimed Philadelphia later as his home, but his home is originally here in Beaufort. We have a lot of very well known people who come from the area. And so it's important for us to do what we can to try to make sure that people know of our contributions, of the wonderful things that we do, and the wonderful things that
Yes,
we did
yes.
in the past, not just now, but in the past, because it's like stepping stones. We couldn't have been able to do what we do now if it hadn't been for our ancestors doing what they did way back then. So we have to
Exactly.
honor all of what they did, and we have to talk about it. We have to preserve it. That's the important thing. We have to preserve it.
Well, Miss Charlotte, I heard you say something early on. You mentioned a little bit about Harriet Tubman, and I've only heard about the Underground Railroad aspect of it, based on what they taught in school. So, can you just maybe
Mhm.
touch a little bit on her role of why she was interested and her contribution to that area?
Well, yeah, Harriet Tubman, in her efforts to do the Underground Railroad, it had a lot of different stations, and she had to have all of her connections. One of the places where Harriet Tubman lived for approximately maybe 2.5 years, was the Beaufort area. And and the church that she attended is my church, Tabernacle Baptist Church here in Beaufort. And later, let's see, the connection where she had some of her slaves to cross over going toward Charleston as they were going further north was the Combahee River, which is on the Beaufort County line. And so Harriet Tubman had to have a lot of connections with people in the Beaufort area, people who could get the word out to other people that perhaps there may be a meeting uh, at Tabernacle that could be like a church meeting. Who knew? And at that meeting, there may have been some things discussed, uh, but she was very important to the Beaufort area. And so our church is in the process of doing a statue that will be erected to her to honor her for the work that she did do in the Beaufort area and in our church.
That is absolutely amazing. Now,
Yeah.
did she have any children, or is there an ancestry line that is still connected to Buford as far as her family that you know of?
I I don't know of any children from Harriet Tubman. Now we do have Robert Smalls, who was also a member of our church, the person that stole the planter and took it up to Charleston, and he and three of his wives are buried in our church yard. So they have a lot of history here, as he had a lot of history here in the Beaufort area as well. But Harriet Tubman, I don't know of any children or ancestors. There are probably some, but there are some ancestors of Robert Smalls who are around and in the Low Country. I think basically up in the Charleston area, but yes. but not
Yeah,
for
that's
Harriet.
that's where I'm at. That's where I'm located. So, what year will this make as far as the Gullah Festival? When did it originally begin? The original Gullah Festival in
It
Beaufort.
originally, well, we had our first meetings in 1984. The first festival was supposed to be a 1 year venture, just a one time thing in 1985. 1986 is when we became incorporated, and we have been going strong ever since. In the turn of the century, was it 2000? I believe that was the year that we did not have a festival. There was a boycott in the state of South Carolina. And so we did some things in the park to um, treat the people in the community, sponsored by the Gullah Festival. But we did not have the festival. And so that was the only year we did not have it until COVID came along. And so 2020 and 2021, we did not have the festival because of COVID. But we're praying that we can come back strong in 2022. So let's
Yes,
see, 86. How many years is that? Who's the mathematician? 86.
but that's about 30 plus something years.
Yeah, it's about let's see.
Yeah, yeah, it's about 30 plus something years. I don't know. I know I don't want to tell my age. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
about 36 years. 36 years we've been in
Yes,
existence.
30 plus something
Mhm.
years.
Yes, and
That's I mean,
it's amazing. It's been an amazing. We have learned so many things, and it could not even been done without all of the volunteers who have worked tirelessly. For us, giving of their time and their efforts and their money sometimes. To help us make sure that things would go. So it's been
yes.
an adventure.
Which brings me to this, viewers. If you're wanting to be a part of this event, it's coming up in May. You can find the original Gullah Festival of Beaufort on Facebook. And if you go to Facebook and you'll find that, they'll have some information there where you can see photos of past events as well. If you'd like to be a contributor, you also there's also a donate button there as well. And then there's also, and you correct me, Miss Charlotte, if I'm wrong, if you're interested in being a vendor at this event, and I'm going to let Miss Charlotte, verify the dates for this upcoming, the original Gullah Festival of Beaufort. So if you want to just verify the dates, Miss Charlotte, for the viewers, that would be awesome.
The the dates will be May 27th, 28th, and 29th. We usually open our gates at 10 o'clock a.m. and we will go strong with nonstop entertainment until about 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. Some of it may be a pageant that might be in another building after like about 7 o'clock, but the entertainment is going to be something somewhere until at least 10 o'clock at night. And then on Sunday, we start with the hour of power at 10 o'clock that Sunday morning. And then we leave and go to a site where we have a marker where slaves were brought in to Beaufort County. And we do a dedication ceremony to our ancestors. And then we open the gates back up at 12. And we go from 12 until 6 o'clock. And that's when we close the festival on Sunday. But it's entertainment of all kinds that weekend. We have jazz and blues and reggae, and we have pop singers, and uh, we have some gospel, and we try to have something for everybody. We have entertainers for the kiddies. We have storytelling. And then, of course, we have the fabulous vendors market, and we have all kinds of food that's representative of the cultures of Gullahs. And so that's something that you can also look forward to, is the delicious foods that will be available.
Well, we have about 3 minutes remaining. Tell me what kind of dishes can they expect? Tell me about some stuff that's really popular that a lot of people when they come during that time of the year that they love to eat.
Well, they let's
What's
see.
your favorite? What's your
Some
favorite?
people look. I'll tell you the truth. Some people look for a regular country southern meal like the cornbread and the collard greens and the barbecue ribs and the fried chicken. And so we have vendors who provide that kind of stuff. We have vendors who come out with things like, I think it's like deep fried corn. And then there will be other delicious dishes that I don't know. I I don't even know the names of a lot of those things, but it's not just your popcorn and your hot dogs and hamburgers. That I don't think there's anybody anywhere that sells that at all during the time of the festival. You get different types of cuisine, red rice and Hoppin' John and just other foods that are really good. Smothered cabbage and
Oh
things,
wow. I'm
yeah,
getting
things. Yeah, it's not your hot dogs and hamburgers and cotton candy. No.
I'm starting to get hungry already. So I know I'm gonna come with my belly empty and leave with it full.
Well, we sure hope you will. We sure hope you will.
So, viewers, we definitely want to take this opportunity to thank Miss Charlotte for coming on today and elaborating on the Lest We Forget. And please go to Facebook and take a look at the original Gullah Festival of Beaufort so that you can get more information and make plans to come out in May to celebrate with us and have a really good time. Again, Miss Charlotte, I want to thank you so much for coming on with us today. And we'll have to have you come back on again at a later time to share some more information. But until we see you then, viewers, have a great day and thanks for joining us here on the Get Your Geechee On with the TV producer Blondina Mitchell, all the way from Charleston, South Carolina. Saying goodbye, Miss Charlotte. See you soon.
It was an absolute pleasure, and I'll be glad to come back whenever you say so. Take care.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And we'll
Thank you
see
so
all of
much.
you at the
Goodbye.
festival. Okay, bye bye.
Yes. All right. Bye bye.